Right, we caught up with Lee Birch. He's down the bottom end of St John's. Lee started off up on the point between Nick and Leon, didn't you?
Yeah, I got sandwiched a bit.
But you decided on a move yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday the wind was happening down here. It's a bit flat calm today. But like you said, you was for me, said the fish were down here, so I thought I'd come down, have a move down here. It's a lot weedier. I was sandwiched between two good anglers, which is not a good thing. And basically I come down, spotted a load of pellet in, and I had 2 takes, lost them both, unluckily for the weed. But
you didn't spend any time thinking about it. You saw, first thing in the morning, you were on the move, weren't you? Once you weren't happy where you were, you knew the fish were down here. Lee had a couple of other lads down here, and you were straight on it and moving, weren't you?
Yeah, Lee had a lot of good fish, and not only that, I'm a mobile angler anyway.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'd rather be straight on the fish as quick as possible.
The other thing as well, when you got here yesterday, there was quite a chop on, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was really blowing.
You felt that there's quite a few fish up in the water and on the surface.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, Lee is particularly good at surface fishing. Fantastic floater angler. So you've been having a go at trying to get them off the top. So if you want to take us through what you've been doing.
I've been trying on here to get them going off the top, but like I say, it's a bit flat calm. They're up in the surface there still. I've got a zig out there now. Usually the method I'd use would work anywhere, to be honest. I've used it a good effect this year on my syndicate lake. Caught lots of fish, really big fish as well. Anything you'd like to know in particular?
Well, I know from speaking to you and speaking in the past, first piece of kit that goes in the car or the van is your surface kit.
It's got to be all the time.
And you're always looking to nick a quick fish off the top,
I just think if you want to catch a lot of fish really quickly, that's the method, to be honest.
And on limited time.
Especially on limited time, yeah.
So what's the first things, if you float a kit, that first thing in the bag, or the first thing you'll try? You've turned up, there's fish on the top, you're going to have a crack for them. What's your starting point?
Well, obviously finding the fish is your starting point. Once you found the fish, this year I've been using the naturalizer pellet. A lot of people ask me how to fish it because they'll fish it, they get the fish feeding, and they can't get the takes over the top. It's took me a bit of practice this year to get it right, but I think I've got it about right now. The trouble we've got is, if I can get some out, is the riser pellets are very small, and they're sort of like hemp. They get preoccupied on it, and what you'll find is when they're taken off the top on a riser pellet, they sort of like sip it, and the Pac-Man, just the lips come out, and they won't deviate. If your hook bait's an inch away or 2 inches, they won't deviate away from that line they're taking all the time, if you know what I mean.
So they'll just pick a line
and they just keep going. And you can feed bigger items, and if you mix it up like that, if you're mixing it up, what they'll actually do is they'll go and pick them out and leave everything else.
So what have we got here? We've got riser pellets, looks
a bit
like
of chum mixer,
some normal chum mixer.
And
what are these little flat things?
Them are just puppy mixer.
Yeah.
Just for a bit of size and a bit of difference. And also we've got 11mm floating trout pellets in there.
So basically, it's very much like when you put in a bag mix in or a spod mix.
Yeah.
You want different baits in there, different weights, textures.
I mean,
to give the fish.
You're trying to create that confusion for them to pick it up here. But the trouble you have is when you feed risers like this, which I have mixed them in here, but certain lakes I go to, if you fished them like that, you wouldn't get the takes. They'd actually they'll pick the risers out among them first before they'll take anything else. So what I started to do was, what I do is I coat my hook baits in the slicker juice, like to flatten the water, especially when you've got a chop on the water. Oh, we were there.
That'd be nice on camera.
I like to flatten the water off, so obviously you can see what's going on under the surface, stuff like that. And Nash do the slicker juice, but Tesco do a hemp oil, and £6 for a bottle. I think it's called Good Oil. And now, to be quite honest, I wouldn't go fishing without either of them.
Yeah.
The only additive I add into the hemp oil is crustacean extract, and I found that's really good off the top.
Is that what Nashi puts on those?
I think that's what the smell of crustacean extract. So I've went down that road, and it really works well. So when I turn up on the lake, I'll fish the riser pellets just on their own to get the fish actually get going, to get them preoccupied. They don't see no danger because to be quite honest, to present them on a hoop, it'd be virtually impossible. So they don't see no danger, they'll pick them off, and then they're quite confident to feed like that.
So my next question, looking at the array of bits and pieces we've got in front of us here, I'm looking at a lot of bolt controllers.
Yeah.
Is that what you tend to use as opposed to like the original Drenham surface controllers?
I don't like to strike. You get a lot of hook pulls when you're striking at fish. If I was using bread, I would strike at them. But to be honest, this day and age, the stuff that's out now, you don't need. You can strike fishing a bottom rig off the top, basically.
So let's go through what have we got here.
We'll start with that one.
Go on.
That one's, I fished these at extreme range, and them are MCF floating eggs.
Yeah, I've never seen them before.
No, they're really good. I mean, these weigh an ounce and a half. You get them in small, medium and large. Now, you couldn't fish that on your normal surface rod because they're just too heavy. They don't look at the only 1.5 ounce, but the bulk of it, you wouldn't be able to chuck them. So what I actually do is I'll fish them on my normal bottom rods, which are 3.5 pound test curve. But what I'll do is I'll fish them with a fluorocarbon line, and I'll fish all three on them. So when I cast them out, and the line sinks down up to the float, and the line will sink down and come up to the float, which adds a bit of extra resistance as well. Not only that, the shape of the float they don't tend to drift about, so they'll stay put. So you can put three out at the right range, spom your mixers over the top, and you're fishing effectively
You're
three rods.
possibly the first person that I've ever heard advocate the use of fluorocarbon lines when, you know, that's interesting. You do it.
Well, it wasn't my idea. I actually got told it off a lad called James Armstrong, who was a really, really good angler. And my thing was always you want your line on the surface.
Yeah.
But when you're fishing sort of three rods, when you're fishing a single rod, it's a lot different. But when you're fishing three rods and you're hooking a fish, you don't want to be picking all the other lines up. Plus, you've still got two rods that fish. How many times have you had a fish on, you playing it in and the gulp and the rest of the mixers down because they know? And it's a really good method. Not only that, when you're fishing a weedy water with these ones, the fish, when you hook the fish, the water sort of erupts and they don't go down. They just stay on the surface and they'll just wallow in. So there's no fight in them. Whether it's the weight and they don't decide to go down.
It is quite bulky.
Yeah, it keeps them up on the top.
I can imagine that'd take some pulling under the surface.
I mean, the takes of explosive on that, and I like to do that.
So, if you can see that, is that just how you'd set it up?
I just set it up exactly like a shock.
That's an anti-tangle sleeve.
Yeah, but you can put a shock sleeve on it or anything like that. Anything just to secure your swivel.
Yeah.
And the beauty of using them is you can actually fish through the night off the top, which a lot of people don't do. And I've had some fantastic results. Places like Lynchill and that, I fish right through the night.
Do you not fish waters with swans?
Well, to be honest,
how many swans have you hooked in the night?
I've hooked a fair few birds, to be honest. But,
I can imagine.
Going on from that, is the other two I like to use. There's both from Nash. That's the old bolt machine. That's the new bolt machine. The advantage of the new one is you can change the weight on it. Plus, you've got a sight bomb. You can change the sight for different colours. You might get black, yellow. If you like to watch your float, to be honest, it doesn't really matter to me. I listen for the clutch going. Right, I'm not concerned about watching the float.
So do you use pretty much 100% of the time a bolt style controller?
If I'm fishing a say 2.5 pound test curve rod, or sometimes I'm using my my little 9-foot rod, I'll use them and I can fish at good range with them up to 90 yards, maybe 100 yards, which is sometimes a good advantage over anglers.
Yeah. I like what you said though about the fluorocarbon and keeping the line under it. Obviously, this is so buoyant.
Yeah.
It keeps the hook link and everything else up, but it keeps the line behind the controller out of the way.
I mean, the main thing of it is you're fishing three rods off the surface, and you're not fishing one, so it's 3 times the chances.
And with the line, with the fluorocarbon on the bottom,
it's
a
all
lot more static, so it's not drifting about.
It's not drifting about, it just stays in. It's a good method, really good method.
So hook link materials, what do we?
Well, I do use the Nash Zig floor in 8 and 10 pound. But when they get really cagey, and it does make a massive difference on some waters, like some bluebell. If you went in with a standard 10 pound line, you'd struggle to get the bites, to be honest.
I've not used that one myself. I've used the Gardner one a lot on the surface,
right.
But I've not.
I mean, to be honest, I've got loads. I went through loads, but I decided to go down the the pole line. You can imagine them pole anglers are hitting holes and it's expensive stuff, but it's really strong stuff for the breaking strength to the diameter. And the one that I found is, I don't even believe I'm saying this one, but this is unbelievable off the top.
Are you giving away a big edge here?
This honestly,
what's this stuff?
That's Trabuco Super Elite.
See again, and it's not something that I've seen.
You look at the thickness of that there, it's 0.20 and that's £16 breaking strain.
What is it?
No, it is.
Is it?
I mean, it's good for I've had fish just up to 40 on it.
Is this where I cut myself?
You'll slice your hands.
You're right, there's no breaking is there?
I mean, it's good once it's stretched a bit after a fish, you're best changing it, obviously, in case you've had any nicks or anything as you're playing the fishing, but that is, everywhere I go, if you're struggling to get bites off of that does make a hell of a difference. That.
With this stuff, the other stuff you use, and you see some people using Vaseline, keep it afloat.
I mean,
do you not
I've already got oil on my pellets. I just rub the oil off my pellets.
Right,
I was carrying something more in it, really.
Yeah.
Just a bit of oil on my.
And I always think Vaseline on your fingers touching your bait. How good can that be?
No, I mean it's not the road I've ever been down, especially like everything's oiled up anyway. It's just, I mean that you can put that on. I've been to many waters, but you can use that on any water, and that'll guarantee me it takes that off the top.
And hook-wise, normal kind of size 10s to 12s?
Never ever.
Never a 10? Smaller?
Never, honestly. I mean, I always experiment because it's a big part of my fishing, float fishing.
Yeah.
And I can't believe the difference between using a size 14 to using a 12 to using a 10, and it really does make a hell of a difference.
Well, for years I always used 10s. This year I've been using 12s.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your 14s, thinking I've got something else to try.
Yeah. I mean, I like to use Teflon coated ones again, so that obviously they're less visible, they're less shiny. But the 14s, what I found was when I'm hooking the fish, they're right down to the eye of the hook. You have to have forceps. They're not coming off due to hook pull. That's for definite.
These barbless hooks.
I hope not.
Barbless.
Are they?
Yeah, they are barbless. You picked the wrong ones up.
I must have. It depends which one you're on. Some are barbless, some are barbed, aren't they?
Oh, of course, yeah, and you do abide by the rules. Yeah, we know that. So, finally, just to get to it, because I'm conscious of the time, hook baits. What's the starting point? Different things that you'll use.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was talking about this with somebody else. It's a major thing to me, the hook bait. How it sits in the water. I do a lot of tank testing, and if you're dropping normal mixers in the water in your tank and you watch the way they sit, they're virtually sat under the. So it's just the surface of it, the edge of it on the surface. A couple of ones I use if I'm fishing with mixers. What I usually use is them. And I make them myself. They're made from balsa wood, from a modeller shop. And what I do is I cut them down, and then I coat them in. I get rich tea biscuits, crumb it up like a crumb, and super glue it onto it. And it just, you can't tell the difference between mixers when you put them out there. But it just looks like a mixer.
Yeah. Tell you what I've always used, and I like it because you can. It's the same colour as a mixer, and you can whittle it down. Cork.
See, the thing what you'll find is if you use cork hook baits, is they're too buoyant, and when the fish get wise and they'll come in and you'll see them blow out and you'll see your pearl swelling about and you think, oh, it's about to take. It's cause
maybe that's where I'm going wrong.
It's because I've got you sussed. Another good one, if I'm fishing mixers, is the Nashi critical floaters. Now the difference between them is that they're actually made with I think with a bit of base mixing, so they sit lower in the water.
Yeah.
And it's a major factor. I was fishing at my syndicate not long back, and sat there fishing with my mate off the top, and we were in his swim, and I was saying to him that the paying attention, the update bit will make a massive difference on the size of the fish that you actually catch. And we were like, he was a guy who was
not just on having takes on the size of the fish.
On the size of the fish, and he didn't agree with me, and I said, well, can I have a go in your swims, which I did, and I hooked it. My first fish was a 40-pound 8. After he'd been there all day, he'd had 20s, and the first fish I got was a 40. So I suppose he changed his mind a bit. He
was catching 20s with the 40s and the 30s.
Yeah,
we're in and about it, but he was hooking the smaller ones. You gave it a go with this.
Yeah, I mean that little bit of attention to detail can make a massive difference, to be honest. The other ones I use is obviously I use the Nash. I haven't got none there, but I use the Nash Zig Bugs.
Yeah.
They're made from like a deer fur. They make it look like a mixer or a pellet.
Yeah, I've seen them.
You can also get the ones that actually look like riser pots. I've started using them quite a bit.
Yeah.
But like I say, what I tend to like to do is feed them risers in. Once you've actually got them preoccupied to the point of they just Pac-Man and all of that, what I'll do, I'll start feeding the 11 millers out the floater pack, and I'll just feed them, and then all of a sudden you see a change. You start to see the swirls, and then I'll fish them over the top, and again trying to pick that out off the top.
Yeah. It makes it difficult for the fish.
I mean, a couple of other things is fishing sinking hook baits in among your floating hook baits, which I do on them again. I'll fish them a foot below, and you'll get them days when you're feeding off the top. While you're spomming, they'll feed and you stop and they'll just sit under the surface.
So you'll have that floating on the surface
with a sinking dog biscuit on underneath.
Just hanging straight down.
Yeah, I mean, just for them days, you'll find that anyone who floater fishes, they'll be spomming out and the fish will feed while you're spomming, then they'll stop. And they're just sat there waiting for your bait because safety in numbers sort of thing, you know, the more bait they feel a bit safer.
Yeah.
And that really works well. That's a really good edge there.
Right. Well, I'll be hunting down these in the local tackle shop. I've never seen them, so maybe I might be punting a few off.
I mean, I'll give you one last one if you want. You can get the medium ones of them MCF eggs.
Yeah.
And what you actually get the lead that you used to put on your windows and crisscross your windows.
Yeah.
What I did was I put it onto the floor till it slowly just sunk, and drilled it out, melted the lead down, and filled the float up with it. So it was like a semi-buoyant float. I'll fish a zig off that, and I'll cast it out well past the fish when I can see them, and I'll reel it in and let it sink in among them. And what happens is, because it's so buoyant, it bounces off the bottom, and it makes your zig bounce as well. And I've had loads of.
So that's almost like when you're barbel fishing on a river. You're looking at me now, thinking you do.
I don't barbel fish.
Yeah, I saw your face.
I went blank.
Yeah. Basically, when you're trundling down a river for barbel, it's the same kind of thing.
That movement,
you've got a weight on that keeps the bait down, but it also allows it to move.
Yeah,
down
that's it. Yeah, that bit of free movement
it's a similar kind of thing.
Well, you're not fishing a static bait as well. It makes it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, right. Well, thank you for that, mate.
You're
Hopefully, you'll have a few fish.
Yeah, hopefully.
You got a couple out on zigs. You're still keeping going with the pellet,
so
it looks good for it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It's warm. It's still. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you very much,
mate.
Mr. Birch.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.